weeks, many people believed that that was the solution, and McCain was going to win because suddenly the opinion polls started going up and up and up for the McCain-Palin couple, and sadly for them, she had to give a few interviews and give some explanation about various things, and then things started being more shaky, and finally Obama won. But it was, at some point, it was a close call. So this single, strange, and very creative, in a way, failure, we can say, about the Republican Party, was one single act that could have changed the whole world. And when Sarah Palin was picked as a vice presidential candidate, she made one telephone call immediately. Who do you think she called? What? She didn't call her brother or mother or father or sister, or she didn't call McCain. She called some obscure person called Adam Brickley. So Adam Brickley is a sort of very ordinary blogger. So he's not a great journalist. He's not part of any campaign or anything. But about 2 years ago, he decided to write this blog, which is titled Draft Sarah Palin for Vice President. So he suddenly had this vision that Sarah Palin is the right candidate. Sarah Palin is the person who, she's not exactly for president, but she will be all right for vice president. And if we have her for vice president, then the Republican Party will win and everything will be great. And that kind of people we need. Young, women, ordinary, who are pro-gun, which was very important for him. Anyway, this guy doesn't have anything to do with Sarah Palin. And he especially says it in his blog that this site is not endorsed by Sarah Palin. He has never met Governor Palin, and he's never been even in Alaska. But what happened, this blog started becoming more and more popular, and suddenly, when the Republican team started looking desperately for something to reinvigorate the McCain campaign, they stumbled on this blog. And they saw how this blog is getting more and more popular, and more people are getting in the discussions. It was not very, very popular blog, but it had quite a lot of hits, quite a lot of comments, and they said, well, that's it. So obviously nobody can prove that exactly that's what happened, but the fact is that Sarah Palin thinks that that's the story, because otherwise she would not make the first call to Adam Brickley. I even can't remember his name properly. So I would say that this is a massive creative act in terms of political blogging. Adam thought of something out of nowhere and developed this idea and put it for everybody to see and touch it and think about it and use it. So suddenly people in power picked it and said, that's it. So the creativity is, I think, in political blogging exactly in finding something that is around and sort of lifting it and saying, well, that's my cause, that's what I believe in, that's what I saw yesterday, and that's what nobody else has seen. And this is very different from using blogs as a news platform, because you can't compete with BBC, you can't compete with FT. I mean, these are the most fantastic news and journalistic corporations. And certainly their great strength is not in blogging, but they have to do it because they were taught to, as you heard this morning. But out of their blogs, there will not come any solution or any disaster, whatever you can see the Sarah Palin choice in two different ways. And this is just one example about how blogs can intervene in reality. And blogs are not somehow isolated, in my view. It's not an isolated phenomenon. It is something that links various medias, various facts, other blogs, and reality. I mean, probably all of you are familiar with the concept of flash mob. I mean, these are people who suddenly get together somewhere after a call on internet to do something strange and odd. I don't know, walk in yellow boxer shorts, for instance, in the center of Brussels for 20 minutes and then disappear. I mean, this is the kind of example, a laboratory and example of how the online idea and the ideas can produce actual reality. And we're all now familiar with the social networks and Facebook specifically. And in fact, we can argue that Obama won these elections against the blog of Sarah Palin by using Facebook properly, because he has 3.8 million supporters on his Facebook profile. And there was a massive action to sort of build and develop this profile, because what he understood was that, well, the online generation is getting more and more powerful, and now is the moment to get it, to catch it. And probably that's not the case in Europe, but the online development is so rapid that in 6 months or in 1 year or 2 years, that will be probably the case here. But of course, you need to pick something that you can promote through this Facebook, or you can promote through your blogs. I mean, one piece of advice I can give, I'm sure that many of you are much more experienced in blogging than I am, because as Ruth said, I do too many things. But if you want to promote your blogs, do link them to Facebook and do link them also to various groups that and to gather supporters. Create your profile on Facebook so that you can link these two media, because Facebook is becoming more and more powerful, or other social networks, but Facebook seems very strong. Blogs can create other type of reality by being creating sort of developing controlling functions. It's a bit difficult to see here, I don't know, that's my technical abilities. There is a funny blog in England, Conservative Home. Initially it was conservativehome.com, and this is the Conservative Party in England is quite a funny party. It sort of doesn't allow anybody to interfere with what they're doing, including the leadership. So, for instance, if you want to pick your candidate for an MP for, I don't know, North Manchester, I mean, the leader of the party, if the leader of the party comes and say, well, you will pick James, they will say anybody but James. I mean, that's the principle there. I mean, the leadership of the party cannot in any way interfere in local issues. So as a result of that, the party is a web of very strange sort of gossips and sort of very kind of provincial gossiping, and nobody can understand what exactly is going on. And suddenly, this conservativehome.com appeared and put everything straight, because it gave a platform for everybody who wanted to gossip and know some gossip from the Conservative Party to put it in. And that was a great creation, because suddenly, out of nowhere, two guys who started this blog created absolutely the perfect mechanism for controlling the process